Have you ever noticed how the people who cry the easiest are often called weak, while those who never shed a tear are called strong? There's something strange about that, isn't it? Because if you really think about it, holding back an ocean of emotion takes infinitely more force than letting a single drop fall. We've built an entire mythology around strength. We imagine it as steel, as unbreakable silence, as the ability to stand alone in a hurricane without flinching. But what if everything we've been taught about strength is backwards? What if the very things you've been ashamed of, the sensitivity, the overthinking, what you still care about people who hurt you, what if those aren't weaknesses at all? Here's the question that might change everything. What if you've been strong this entire time, and nobody taught you how to recognize it? You wake up tired. Again, not just physically tired, but tired in a way that sleep doesn't fix. Tired from carrying things no one can see. Tired from the constant weight of managing emotions, navigating relationships, remembering who said what, analyzing why someone's tone changed mid-sentence. And you think, I'm just sensitive. I'm too much. But here's the thing, you know what it takes to stay soft in a world that rewards hardness? Neuroscientist Dr. Elaine Aron's research on highly sensitive people reveals something fascinating. Approximately 20% of the population has a nervous system that processes information more deeply. Your brain literally picks up on subtleties others miss. The slight change in someone's expression, the shift in energy when you walk into a room, the unspoken tension everyone pretends isn't there. You're not weak. You're a finely tuned instrument in a world that values hammers. Here's what society doesn't tell you. Shutting down emotionally is easy. It's a survival mechanism we all have access to. Dissociation, numbness, building walls so high that nothing gets in but nothing gets out either. You know what's hard? Staying open. Think about it. When someone hurts you, every instinct screams to close off, to protect yourself, to never be that vulnerable again. And yet you make the choice to heal, to understand, to remain capable of connection. That's not weakness. That's courage of the highest order. The psychology behind this runs deeper than most people realize. Attachment theory, pioneered by John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth, shows us that our early relationships teach us whether the world is safe or dangerous. If you learned early that emotions were inconvenient, that your needs were too much, that expressing hurt led to abandonment, then every single day you choose to feel fully is an act of rebellion against that conditioning. You're not fragile because you feel. You're strong because you feel, and you keep going anyway. Let's talk about loyalty for a moment. The way you stay in people's lives even when they drift. The way you remember birthdays, send the thinking of you messages, show up even when it's not reciprocated. You've probably been told you care too much, that you invest too heavily, that you need to match people's energy and give what you get. But here's what's really happening, and this is where it gets complex. Mirror neurons in our brain fire both when we perform an action and when we observe someone else performing it. This is the neurological basis of empathy. Some people have more active mirror neuron systems, which means your capacity to feel with others isn't a character fluke, it's a biological reality. You're not overinvested. You're wired for deep connection in a culture that's forgotten how to hold it. And yes, sometimes that means you'll care about people who don't care back. You'll extend yourself for relationships that aren't reciprocal. You'll pour water into cups with holes in the bottom. But the strength isn't in the outcome. The strength is in your refusal to let other people's limitations define your capacity for love. Think about the alternative. You could calculate every interaction, keep score, withdraw affection the moment someone fails to match your effort. You could protect yourself by becoming exactly as unavailable as the people who've disappointed you. But you don't. And that's not naivety. That's the kind of strength that builds worlds. There are things you've survived that you don't talk about, not because you're hiding them, but because you've integrated them so thoroughly into who you are that they feel normal now. The background radiation of your life. The childhood that required you to be the adult. The relationships where you became the emotional regulator. The spaces where you learned to make yourself small so others could feel big. The nights you talked someone off a ledge while you were barely holding on yourself. Here's the truth that nobody says out loud. Some people are load-bearing walls in other people's lives. You've been holding up structures that would collapse without you, and you've done it so seamlessly that no one notices the weight you're carrying. Research in trauma psychology reveals something profound. Post-traumatic growth is real. Dr. Richard Tedeschi's work shows that people who've experienced significant adversity often develop deeper compassion, stronger relationships, greater appreciation for life, and enhanced personal strength. But here's the catch. It doesn't feel like strength when you're in it. It feels like survival. You are stronger than you realize because strength isn't the absence of struggle. It's function despite breakdown, showing up when every part of you wants to disappear. It's the quiet decision to try again tomorrow. Let's talk about the work no one sees. The emotional regulation. The conflict you de-escalate before it starts. The way you read a room and adjust yourself to maintain peace. The apologies you give to smooth things over, even when you weren't wrong. The needs you don't voice because you know the other person can't handle one more thing. This is often called emotional labor, and sociologists. Arlie Hochschild's research reveals how invisible and undervalued this work is. It's the glue that holds relationships, families, and communities together, and it's exhausting. But the truth is, this takes immense strength. You're not just managing your own emotional experience, you're holding space for everyone else's too. You're the thermostat, constantly adjusting to keep everyone else comfortable. And maybe you've learned to call this people-pleasing. Maybe you've been told you need better boundaries, to stop being so accommodating, to prioritize yourself. And yes, boundaries matter. Self-prioritization matters. But don't let anyone convince you that your capacity for attunement is a weakness. The ability to sense what others need and respond with care is a sophisticated form of intelligence that makes you indispensable, in ways you'll never be credited for. Here's where it gets interesting. Brené Brown's decades of research on vulnerability reveals something that contradicts everything we've been taught. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's the most accurate measure of courage. When you share your truth, knowing you might be rejected. When you say, "I'm struggling," when every instinct tells you to pretend you're fine. When you admit you don't know, you're scared, you need help. That's not fragility, that's bravery. So it would be so much easier to hide, to perform competence and strength, to keep everyone at arm's length where they can't see the mess. You don't do that. You show up as you are, and that terrifies you because you know what it costs. You know that every time you're honest about who you are, you risk losing connection with someone who preferred the version of you that didn't need anything, but you do it anyway, again and again. It's not because you a glutton for punishment, it's because authenticity matters more to you than safety. That's strength. The kind that doesn't make headlines, but changes everything. Let me ask you something. How many times have you thought, "I can't do this anymore," and then woken up the next day and done it anyway? How many versions of yourself have you survived? How many complete upheavals, loss, betrayal, disappointment, grief, have you absorbed and integrated and continued despite? Resilience isn't bouncing back unchanged. It's not about returning to who you were before. True resilience, according to trauma researchers like Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, is the ability to integrate difficult experiences and continue growing. It's scar tissue that's stronger than the original skin. Carry evidence of every hard thing you've survived in the way you move through the world now. More cautious in some ways, yes, but also more knowing, more compassionate, more aware of the full spectrum of human experience. You might not feel resilient, odd. You might feel tired, worn down, like you're barely holding it together. But the fact that you're still here, still trying, still hoping, that's the definition of resilience. It's not about being unbreakable. It's about breaking and reforming, again and again. There's a particular kind of strength that our culture doesn't honor, the strength to remain tender, to not let bitterness calcify around your heart, to forgive, not because people deserve it, but because carrying resentment is heavier than letting it go. Could it become hard by now? Defensive, closed off, cynical. Some people do. There's no judgment. There we all do what we need to do to survive. But you've chosen something harder. You've chosen to stay open to possibility. To believe in people's capacity for growth, even when they've shown you otherwise. To extend grace, to assume good intentions, to hope. This isn't naivety. This is a conscious decision to not let pain have the final word on who you become. And maybe that's the real strength we should be celebrating. Not the ability to weather storms without feeling them, but the ability to feel everything, the full force of the hurricane, and still believe in sunshine. So when you lie awake at night, cataloging all the ways you're not enough, remember this: Your sensitivity is not a design flaw. It's the thing that makes you capable of extraordinary connection. Your overthinking isn't a disorder. It's a mind that seeks deeper understanding. Your loyalty isn't foolishness. It's an anchor in a world that's lost its mooring. You've been strong this entire time, not despite your softness, but because of it. The world will tell you that strength looks like stone, unmoved, unaffected, impenetrable. But real strength looks like water. It adapts, it flows around obstacles, carves canyons, not through force, but through persistent presence. You are stronger than you realize. Stronger than you've been given credit for. Stronger than the version of strength we've all been sold. And maybe the most powerful thing you can do is this: acknowledge it. Honor it. Stop waiting for permission to recognize your own resilience. You have survived every difficult moment of your life so far. Every single one. That's not luck. That's strength. It's been you all along. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.